Good morning. Happy Sunday morning. It's John. I'm gonna play some more Immaculate Grid. My big failure yesterday was actually on the timed round. I've usually done pretty well on the timed round. Actually, I think I had two yesterday. Uh, somewhere or another, messing up on the timed round. Um, the one I got was Mike Trout. I thought won a Gold Glove at some point, and I look at his defensive numbers. I always thought, hey, Mr. WAR, which is what Mike Trout was or is. I guess was. I mean, he hasn't. He's been hurt the last few years, but I assumed that he had big defensive numbers as well. Or, of course, being the sum of one's offensive and defensive values, taking into account base running and the positional scarcity and all that stuff. Turns out he's actually a negative career fielder. He's only had one really good year defensively. It was his rookie year, according to the numbers. So, oh, learned a new thing yesterday. That's just, hey, I guess that just goes to say how potent Mike Trout is with the bat, and also just the scarcity of center field when it comes to positional replacement. That's another big piece of it. Anyway, that's some fun stuff. That's I enjoy a good nerd discussion on war. If you've read my book, you've probably seen some of that commentary. But let's get into my other fun little nerdy indulgence with baseball, and that's playing Immaculate Grid. This was Grid 48. Looks like I got it yesterday. This was a 22 with 18 coming from Charles Johnson. Yeah, what did I mess up? The other one I messed up here was this was the rarity round for Grid 48, and I assumed this was another one. I assumed Pudge Rodriguez had won the Gold Glove in the National League at catcher the year he was with the Marlins in '03, the year they won the World Series. Turns out former Brewer and all-around good guy Mike Matheny won that Gold Glove while playing with the Cardinals. So good for Mike Matheny, beating out the legendary Pudge Rodriguez for a Gold Glove. Anyway, let's do this one. You can just see all the grids I've done here. Hit and go, playing, and away we go. All right. Well, that's Bryce Harper, if I ever saw one. Ooh, let's get Dimitri Young. Made the All-Star team with that '03 Tiger team. Let's see, Darren Fletcher. Pretty good one there. Let's see, that's gonna be a Pat Burrell. That's Aubrey Huff. Candy Mal, I'm sure that's probably shouldn't have gone with that. Let's see, Schilling, I think gets it in '97. Let's go Hal New. Let's go Willie Hernandez. I'm gonna hold on to that just in case I can't come up with anyone better. And then Halliday. Boom, 58 seconds. Rarity score of 86. I did gamesmanship it a little bit. Halliday taking 24%. Schilling only at 4%. I think it was like a 297 or something in 1997. Bryce Harper, no surprise there. The others were like kind of low percentages, but nobody I should have really held on to. I try to go for lower rarity scores. It doesn't always work out that way, but I try to go for lower rarity scores than 3 and 5%. So there's no reason to hold on to those. This is an Otis Nixon combo. I'm not really sure how Otis Nixon is going to do in these things. He's all over the place. All right, we'll stop share. We'll reshare. And let's see. I guess that was it over here. Yeah, let's go for it. So former Brewer manager Harvey Keene will work for both of these. Um, Joe Carter works down here. Maybe that's who I should have gone for. I believe this is a Woody Fryman combo, I think. It's also Rusty Staub. Rusty Staub is the safe one. I'm pretty sure I'm Woody Fryman. All right, good. 1% though. So even he's come up in popular. Honestly, like my mnemonic there is, well, Travis Fryman played for the Tigers. Woody Fryman also played for the Tigers. Then he hits a couple other teams. I think he like matches some Rusty Staub teams, and Staub's usually a little bit higher. Getting a little coffee this morning. Let's see. Or I think Schoolboy Row will work over here. We could go Bedrosian over here. Obviously, Steve Carlton and John Denny won Cy Young awards. Mitch Williams is not going to work. They were still letting him close games with like a 3.90 ERA. Over here, this is friend of the podcast, Roberto Hernandez, point two. There was no way that was going to get point two just a couple months ago. That was going to have some zeros after the decimal point. He's he's starting to creep up there. That's cool though. That's cool. Let's see. This is a Todd Zeal combination, so there's that if we want to use it. Um, I used Fletcher. I know Otis Nixon works. Who else has played for both Canadian teams? Seems to me that should be a list I should just sort of know. Since I played him here, I think I'm gonna throw Harvey Keene in here. 2%? Played in the 50s. He barely played for the Giants. Oh well. All right. Well, better than like Daryl Evans or Edgar Renteria we're gonna be, I think. Let's see. And then looking at people with sub 3 ERAs, ERs A, earned runs average. That's all right. It actually is ERAs, I think. Um, BJ Ryan comes to mind. Had some good closer seasons there. Dwayne Ward. Um, Mark Eichhorn. I think that's the guy, right? I'm just checking the years. Maybe not. It's the guy I talked about in my book in the Rivera chapter, and I've this is the second or third time that I've been unable to come up with his name. Um, Henke will of course work. Keep coming back to Ricky Romero because he did have a sneaky good 2011 season. Um, but relievers are a good option if you can swing them. Like Dave Steve's not going to be a good. I don't even think Guzman's going to be a really good pick. Clemens obviously works. Um, and I don't know. I don't have a great grasp on how Paul Quantrill or Mike Timlin did when they were with the Blue Jays. So Henke and Ward both won World Series with the Blue Jays. That's why I'm sort of angling away from them and going with Romero, 2011. Remember that year. All right. Let's grab Todd Zeal. Sub one, very solid. I know Schoolboy Row won 20 games with the Tigers. I think he's going to work. I think Bunning will work for both of these, if I'm not mistaken. Jim Bunning, the former senator. Um, who else though? Obviously Grover Alexander will work. How about 1950 NL MVP Jim Constantine? Goes .7, not bad. It's a great name. Let's try it. .2, nice. All right. Otis Nixon. I haven't thought of anyone better. Let's see how Otis Nixon does as far as being an all Canadian. 3%. I gotta start finding other people for the Otis Nixon teams. Otis Nixon has just gotten too popular. And then Brandon Belt, that's a pretty obvious one. Carter Belt. The relievers have kind of swung around a little bit. Did Devon White sneak a season with San Francisco? And I'm not remembering it like specifically. I know he was with the Diamondbacks. He was actually with the Brewers, Angels. So he hits a few teams. I just don't know if Marlins even. I just don't know if he's snuck into San Francisco. Um, let's see. This isn't it's not a Phil Niekro category. He never played for the Giants. It's not a you don't get Will Clark. This is one of the Kevin Mitchell teams, and Mitchell's never a good pick with the Giants anyway. You want to keep Mitchell to the Red Sox and the Indians and the Mariners and A's. That's like bread and butter. Maybe you yoke him in with the Padres or Mets, but never the Giants. That's where he won his MVP. We're not gonna get a Ray Durham out of this one. We're not gonna get an Eric Young out of this one. Um, how about Jose? Hey, that's still Jose Cruz Jr. mainly played for the Blue Jays, and then he played a little, I think, a season with the Giants. That's better than anyone I've thought of so far, I think. Certainly Joe Carter, even though Joe Carter only played a half season with the Giants, he's like Mr. Blue Jay. So I don't want to go that route. Let's just dance around the World Series Blue Jays teams, and then I'll call it. Oh, you know what? Melky Cabrera would work, I think. So maybe that's in my back pocket here. We get Pat Borders, no. Olerud, no. Carter, no. Molitor, no. Roberto Alomar, no. Um, Sprague, no. Uh, Tony Fernandez, I don't think so. Um, it's not a Henderson combo. It's also not a Kenny Lofton combo. He never played for the Blue Jays. Now I'm thinking of the O2 team a little bit, but I don't think no Reggie Sanders, none of that. Jeff Kent will work, but not going to do that. Yeah, a lot of interesting dancing here. I'm going to go with Jose Cruz Jr. 1.0 for a solid 9. I'm always happy with a 9. I was right about Brand Belt being high. I was right about Darrell Evans being too high. That's really high for a player from the 80s, 70s and 80s. Um, Nothing too crazy there. I mean, and Steve Carlton played in the 70s and 80s, but he was Steve Carlton, so that doesn't surprise me too much. Okay. 30% on San Francisco and Detroit. So that's how like Harvey Keene ends up at. So this is kind of a rare combo. That's how you get like Darrell Evans at 18 and Harvey Keene at 2. Edgar Renteria is probably splitting the difference between those guys a little bit. I did Aubrey Huff for I think about 4%. And down here you get 34% on the all Canada teams. Oh, that's an Edwin Jackson combo. Gotta love Edwin Jackson. Immaculate grid superstar. Well, I hope everyone has a fantastic Sunday before the work week ahead. And thank you so much for playing along. We'll be back at it later. Peace.